Christian and Muslim alike, but Christians in particular because of our small numbers. We feel that the increase in the attacks against Christians by groups like ISIS, Nusra and other terrorist groups are almost going to uproot Christianity from the Middle East unless the world wakes up. Especially the Western nations work on guaranteeing some kind of peace for these communities. Very soon, no Christians will be in the Middle East. And also demand that Muslim centers of authority and teaching be very clear in their stand in condemning the acts of violence against Christians and against other minorities, and also in coming forward and dissociating themselves from the acts of ISIS and other groups.
Can you talk to me about the situation right now in Syria for Christian community?
Christians in Syria, like the rest of the Syrian people, are suffering because of the situation there. Of course, some areas are safer than others, but everybody is suffering because, again, of these terroristic acts and the beheading and killing and kidnapping of people. We have 2 archbishops who have been kidnapped since April last year. We know nothing about them, and this in itself is a message, of course, to the rest of Christians that you are not welcome in the country. Therefore, we believe that Christians in Syria, like the rest of the Syrians, need to be assured that they are welcomed by their Muslim counterparts. Although the relationship with the public life of every human being in the areas where where ISIS and Nusra are controlling, they are beheading people, they are hanging them on the trees, they are killing children and destroying even nature. So all this is affecting everybody, but Christians have always been a source of modernism, modernity, acceptance of each other and tolerance, are suffering because all these values are being attacked and destroyed by these people.
How can an organization like Paneldebatt can help in this process for peace in the United States?
Saint Egidio and other organizations play a big and important role in bringing together who believe in tolerance, and this encourages these religious leaders to go back and to speak against violence and to call everybody for peaceful coexistence and for tolerance. So Saint Egidio is doing a great job, and it has a great history over the last 30 years, over 30 years, to bring together people of different religions, because at the end, religion plays a big role in the life of men, human beings, and religion can also be used for wrong reasons and to commit atrocities against other people in the name of religion.
Ushuru kamu itu mina luga ونبتدي كان في العام الماضي ما كان مسؤول. تعينا بس أخذ إشمو متبدل لأن هذا بتحسيهم أي درب منطقة بكتكو عليه كانت الفام.
أي منطقة بكتيو فيديو على كلينا كان درب دو تلفزيون دسفر يومي أو ضطبة فيلم. أي كان يثو غالب الدعشت نحو ونحو فيلم توصلنا أي كوثو غالب يرفضني. بفسق صبرا درب. هل أميدت كوجوري بنشناني أحاربونا مصطوى بشرورو وماكو ليه يعني كوطورة حتى أصبر مثل بين الوقت وسوريوي مغرب تأذني سوريا افتحنا يعيتو تامدوشان إنقاي سوريا مشاين توا بفترة قدرن هركيو عايشين هركي إيش لو ما حد قرأ عليهم خدد ميتنيحينا بديلة وحرب سوريا ميغاملة الدعورين على العراق دعير العراق ما قحريتو إيه كانوا يتدعيشتو ومحشونيتو بديلة العراق وشكلانو شيك زحف بلابي ومن قولي ما دكتور وما حسي فايش يرعدو مدن مسعو يمزل حستويو ويمكن زبنو ياريخو لو ركبو وابنو ومشينا موقع غالب مني لبيت بيرويو ومتيقنو غالب من استكبعي نفقي وميدي بثقوسو بأفراو وثقريني كتب مشيني موطن قبل نعقلوني ونحو ثقديلوني ثوريبي أو أمريكا
شو ليدي بحرينو إليكو يوهانو مين قد مسكتو بتحسيو وزينا بغالب ديكوس وزينا أخو ديكوس مساجون يدوشينو وكبعينا سمات مشاتو إن قد تايم قيمتو ودوسيفو حضرتو وتاموستو أعدو أديما كافي أنه إشنا بشايل سيدنا فترة وسيعين الشولانو واللي هم تقدمنا ديعي كستن اشتينا قلقاميتو كوي كوميسيون من حاضر ودوسيفو وكوميسيونانو أيدر بقدر مشنا قولي أديما بوريدي
هاي قدر مشمع قولي بوريدي على دربوني شوتوسي وأورجانا مثلو ديايتو شوتوسي دعيتو في علمو شوتوسي كنت سن فيديو كتة السوري باروي وقاوي وكتة ناتور غالب القويو كوريا بكن الشبهاوي وشوتوسي دعيتو في علمو مرق سيمي دخرونو لوسي في الهاوي بنا في الشعمو وحم شخصا ومتيقنو سين إجيل
أو دنر بني بس
متيقنو على الشمال دنر نوية بس متيقنو دمشي حويقاو نوية يمكن وش منافق وقر نوية زتر مسريو ميونويو بس متيقنو ونيشو حد منطقة البولي دهاوي سيفو دهاوي طلعامو دمشي حوي هكا رنوي هكا سريوي هكا يونوي ميبونتوس
سيدنا هنا قد بحكيكن على الميدان ماشيكينا قد كتب بلكي بو كوميسيونانا دو سيفو أو كتلو ما هو شغل عن كوميسيونانو أو لا
وكوميسيون ديتو دشترو مش هذا الله يقال طريقة دي شفتو فترة خيضا لعيتو كلنا مريوتو كلي ويعني وعمو سريويس الشورو ديلو نثاركي بيقولوثو ما حيسو على الميدانو وكوبح سوي الميدان دربون مشي حلفي هكا علو دربو دو أمنو دو آرت نعلبو ليش الإنجليشي أو دو كنست علو دربو ديزمرتو علو دربو دو ميمرو علو دربو دكثوتو علو دربو ترجومي علو دربو تشعيوثو علو دربو فيلمي دوكمنتير يعني ميقالو مشي حلفي مشمعو كوليذي ودمان حبريني ذو أدي مثل الشامي عيوينا محمم على هركي مقطع الصوير ها ضمنطي على البولي وزبنا الكتوى غلب محشون أنه دوني تكتوني غلب محشوني ودمانحي ودمشاين روحي عم وزبنا تشابه أنا قودر محالق دوسي وزبنا دكدوثي هل إنو شو ثيدا غلبي مفكفكتويو غلبة فورتويو وميدانو وعنيونو وديالو وبشقونو وبيباسينو ثوبيحوبو وبيسمحا حقودر مع نحلة وخولك نشوثو كتشيو نايحتو نشوثو كتشيو كاملتو قدرم حلقو دوسي دمعيدو أحايي ولوتموتو
سيدنا شو رفعنا استيكوسي قديمة تكوي عليو يوثو تروي دمشي حوي سيدربو كفي محيدي عم كذوذي وشمو كمان دوكان الكفي أديو مسي هي كتوي حذويوثو دمشي حويوثو شانتيه فتحت الميوي أي دربو احنا عيتو سرييتو أرثوذكسيتو درمينا أي دربو قدرو دهويلا أرول بيحذويوثا
هي من وزوعو تيبيلويو كمين على ecumenical movement ولا شنو إنجليشويو مشالوثويو كمين على مسؤولية على الكل وعلى الكل حلو كمي على روحي مشي حيو على هذا إصلوثو دو مريضا يشو عمشي أمشي حويد ورعيو وإمرعيثو هو
يعني يوم إذا تكمل يعني عيتو سريتو كي بده هو إلى رول بدو شافه أو عاد كتيو عيتو أديوما كي بدو منو بكميرو ثو بيحزينو ثو على داوي معي ثو أعلى كي بده إلى رول أو قد أي درب كي بده بتن تفصل عيتو سريتو أرتدكسيتو هو إلى دمنا رول بيحدو يثاث يمشي حلو
هيمن غالبا also نقاوثة لتشيو يحذو يوثو بيساق يوثو إلو يحذو يوثو كثيو أيضا بو حقودر منطي أحاشي ذي منطي أما وكبو ثيذي وأيضا بو قودر هوي مونو جابيو ليحذو يوثو كل حامينا وكل ثمنا عيدوثو نعيمة أو رابي كل ثمن الفوث وحيلة إذا الفوث أمر بوث إذا كد مشالوثو كد دربو قدري معوني وسندي ودربانو لفي حذر يوثو
شو لو حارو سيدنا كدعنا زمان بكريو وهركي ما يزي علينا سجليكو كسينا نحن يتروه شو يدي أحاروه أديوما بيساقيوثو بيقولوا ثكوينا يعني يعيتو سريتو ارتدقسيتو بيقولوا ثكوينا أديوما أي دربو أدعتير دي عيتو سريتو أي دربو كوزت لهاد هتحسيو دي عيتاثي يبتيرو هركي بأوريفي
هي من أخذ مشي حوي دائما كتلن صبر وكحوزينو لباهورو إنا قد حيرينا لوزبنو الشعب كحوزينا دمشوشطينا بغلبة منه قادرين معونينا روحينا معونينا أن حنون ونحو ثدن بوثرو دنابه ثو هكابو مادي ومعنوي مومونويث وسوكولويث يعني مجابو دو يلفون مجابو دو حيثو بديرو داعيتو ثو ودقرياو ثو وهاوي قشرو بين لوثرو ولاركي هاركستي غلبة أبني وبنوثو لا تولي كونوثو بوثرو دنابو ثو مجابو دو يلفونو دوثلفونو ودرجة حريمي أدي ما كحوزينا ماتنو درمي وقدري معوني روحي وحتى معوني أنو شد حيضوري بس كفوش علينا سد إشمون بصينا روحينا ميدينا وحوزينا أما وهبور كيتو هركي دمعونينا روحينا معونينا أنو شد حيضوري هانو غلبة والصويو ونقلاوث دشورو وحاشو والصونو تكوثي علينا إنا قد هوينا حاكيمة قدرينا مستعملين على بيطو ثيدا وبيطو ثيدا نشطرين على الأوبر نشط كتيو محيو من جرحو نقوث كويل حيلو انرجي صبر زتر ماوت كتشو ثني حويو ناي على دمجارة كوذا بقيمة دوميدي زتر ماو كتشو ثني حويو موخا وحاشاود آثي علينا إتلو ما يدأثيو علينا والسيفاود آثي علينا قدرينا مستعملين عليه الميدة طود ما قمنا من فلتايو وإحنا سبيقين تيذا قدرينا ما قيمنا ودوبينا في حفروحه لن نشرك عيشينا أعمي وبين الثي هتميدون
بارك مرتب الساقي كلنا في التعشيروت في مرعي تفوز في بحياتكم اللي تدي ساقي
هودي ألخو كشورة طبيواميني والله بارك بحياتكم في القناة
So I think these are two very deep, fundamental, basic questions that are brought to the floor. Is one of the unity and diversity, that was my expression. And of course, when we talk about unity and diversity, we talk on two levels here. One level is the unity, theological unity in dogma, and that the purpose of which is full communion, of course. So at the end, to be one, we have to be able to share in the same cup of communion. That means we have to declare our oneness and our same understanding of salvation. So to be one is to be able to receive communion from each other. That is the fullness of unity. But that's that full communion which exists already among many churches in different families of churches is not yet achieved on the global level of the Church of Christ. That's where diversity. That's where I would like to move to the issue of diversity. When I talk about diversity, I talk about the different traditions of living, of being the church. And that is already there. Within the Roman Catholic Church itself, there is a great diversity in the way the church expresses itself in terms of liturgy, of tradition, of culture. Orthodox Church is the same. And even within our Oriental Orthodox family of churches also, we have diverse traditions within the same church. Actually also happens where you have different rites that are being used. So to be one for us is to be able to have full communion, and that existed in the apostolic times. Every apostle established a church, Church of Christ. But the Church of Athens and the Church of Antioch, the Church of Alexandria and Rome were different in many aspects. They were one in their faith. There was full communion. There was exchange of the formula of faith that existed every time a new bishop is elected or appointed for Antioch. He would send the expression of his faith to his brother in Alexandria, and when it's read and it's received, accepted, then that the church in Alexandria will announce and pray for the bishop of Antioch. That tradition continues until today in our church between Alexandria and Antioch. So that is unity in full communion and diversity in the way we express our unity.
Thank you very much. Your Holiness, Basilios.
Thank you very much. If I may say some words about the same question. Of course, the first understanding of unity, as I said also in my paper, is the unity of faith. This was stressed by fathers of the Church and many others. You mentioned, Your Eminence, at the beginning of your introduction to this panel, the history of the ecumenical movement. It is, for the modern ecumenical movement we speak, it's a more than a century now. And I could say that there are big steps done, of course. This is clear without doubt. Many things changed, and now we can sit together and speak about not only the unity, but other very difficult issues, divisive or united issues. But I could say that now there is more than a century, as I said, and the central point of unity, which was the main purpose of the creation of the World Council of Churches, the commissions of mission and faith and order, the achievement of this unity, let's say, is very weak, very minimal. And I can say that there is a certain ecumenical fatigue for this effort for the unity. This is my own understanding that now in the ecumenical movement, and this is as Orthodox, we struggle always. The question of diversity, Your Holiness, is changing now to legalize the differences of faith to, let's say, cultural expressions. But this is not, this is, I had in my paper, this is the main question I raised. Which unity do we seek? Do we seek this, the understanding of unity as cultural expressions, or we have to stick to a real unity? And I was very much against when the WCC is using always the visible unity. What does mean visible unity? Of course, there is a visible unity when the church is celebrating the Eucharist. But visible unity is not a sociological one. There is a real, allow me the word, ontological unity of the church, which is the unity, according to our ecclesiological understanding, as it is a unity in the triune we have to have the unity among the Christians who form the body of Christ on the earth.
Definitely, we are living in this question right now as we speak, and in light of what's happening in Iraq and in Syria. Over one night, 120,000+ people were driven out of their homes and made walk hours and hours to find safety, and under the threat of killing, conversion, and paying tax, jizya. Syria, during the course of this war, there were 2 towns that were attacked, 2 mainly Christian towns that were attacked. One of them is Ma'ula. All of you know about it, this ancient town. Again, within days, the town was empty of its Christians. They had to go and seek refuge somewhere else, and until now they are not able to go back to their town. The other one is Saidnaya, which is only 15 minutes drive from Ma'ula. Saidnaya, the young people in Saidnaya anticipated what was going to happen. They got themselves together, they got some arms, and they trained themselves somehow, and they were able to defend their town, and they did not let these terrorist groups enter Saidnaya. They fought against them. And they said, until now, thank God, it is safe, the people are there, and they're in their homes. Now, these are 2 situations that we ponder about, and we think which one is right, which one is correct. I personally am suffering with, I'm struggling with this issue, and as well as most Christians in Syria. Do we let people die, be slaughtered, killed, and not defend themselves? Or do we tell them to prepare themselves and defend, even if it means taking arms and probably killing us? There is no easy answer to this. I don't think anybody can give an answer. But we have gone through genocides, one after the other, and we have lost a lot throughout our history in the Middle East. Many of our lay people tell us, is this what Christianity is about, to just be killed? Does Jesus teach us to be killed? And that's it. And we defend ourselves. We have come to a point where, for us, it's a matter of life and death. Are we going to just die silently? Will that satisfy our enemies? Will they stop killing when they kill us? Will they stop killing us? Or should we defend ourselves, defend life, which God gave us also as a gift? This is my little contribution to this.
Я хотел бы сказать, что защита близких, защита других детей и матерей – это не насилие. Это высшая ступень любви к ближнему. Вот тот, кто нападает, тот насилие, а тот, кто защищает, это не насилие. Это высшее проявление любви. Поэтому надо защищать детей, матерей, взрослых людей. Правильно делают те люди, которые встают на защиту своего отечества и своего народа. Поэтому это любовь, это не насилие. guys bring us back to one of the ancient questions in Christian ethics, the relation between, let's say, a vision and a peaceful way of living and the legitimacy of self-defense in danger of life. So the whole ethical reasoning about that is as old as Christian ethics, I mean. We have about 10 minutes more. I would like to, so if I can take 3 questions now, one after the other, I bring the 3 to the...
I like to make some comments since the dialogue, not the dialogue. First of all, when we are talking about Christian unity and peace, we are not talking about church unity and to stay on the common foundation of faith. So today, there is not any structure for meetings of the Christian leaders. I remember some Christian leaders during the Jubilee in Rome, the Holy See, in 1986, in CC, and when we come here. So we need new ways of solidarity and cooperation of the Christians. For example, the important letter addressed by His Holiness the Patriarch of Russia, Kyrillos, to the international organizations. If this letter was signed also by all of the church, the Christian leaders, the influence was more powerful. We need new ways of common action of the Christians on protecting the human rights, on fighting poverty. Said Paul in his pastoral letters. A part of the faith, he encouraged the Christians to contribute and to organize collections for the suffering people in other areas. And he never stopped speaking to the people who follow Apollon on Kifas. We are isolating ourselves. I was in the meeting of the Copts, and there was there a layman to represent the Christians to speak. It's different to have one leader to speak on behalf of all of us on climate change, on religious tolerance and religious freedom. How the Christians can work together for the problem of the lack of the unity of the international community. How the Christians leaders and the Christians can play an important role of the unity of the Security Council of the United Nations. 4 of the 5 permanent members of the Security Council of the United Nations are Christians. It's time to play ourselves as Christians for these divisions and for the whole situation around the world where there are conflicts and wars. The Christian leaders meet by accident. They are not together. The role of the global economy is giving opportunities only to the ones they have money. They don't give opportunities to the ones they don't have money. What is the role of the Christian leaders for implementation of the resolutions of the international organizations to protect human rights and local and global security? Absence of the Christian leaders for international organizations is a reality. It's different when there is a professional layman employee to speak on behalf of the Christians, and it's different to have our Christian leaders to speak on the conference of the parties or other international initiatives. So my question, when I finish, how can we bring together our leaders and of course also our congregations to work together for peace and justice?
Okay, I got the question. How can we bring Christian leaders closer together to a shared commitment? To a shared commitment. That will be the first question. I saw a second hand. Yes. The question, please.
Juste une petite question, et je vais le poser en français. Tout à l'heure, sa béatitude, Monseigneur Ignatios Aflem a parlé de l'Église sévère orthodoxe et que l'Église, les membres de l'Église sévère orthodoxe, ils sont présents ici en Belgique depuis plus de 35 ans, allez, on va dire 40 ans, et ils sont présents aussi en Europe. D'après ma connaissance, il n'y a pas de reconnaissance officielle à cette Église sévère orthodoxe, à part l'Autriche. Pourquoi?
Deuxième question qui a trait, no, second question that relates to the situation of the Syrian Orthodox faithful in Belgium. It's a local question that should be answered to by the locals like me, I think, it's a local question. The legal recognition of the Syrian Orthodox Church in Belgium. I see the question. Is there a third one? The green hat, the green t-shirt. The green. Oh well. Yeah.
Mag ik het in het Nederlands doen alsjeblieft? Als een broeder van liefde heb ik geen vragen meer. Ik zou graag de devies willen meegeven. Dat ik nog halve dag mediteer vanuit Budapest. Varos Missio Budapest 2007. Redding des jeugd uit op nek. Hoop en toekomst. En ik voel erbij vrede. Wens ik je allen toe.
Thank you. It's a message of hope and solidarity. And now, the man in green, and then I will say it next time.
Permit me if I could ask a slightly irreverent question. But what's the point of our discussion here? And I mean this in the sense that a lot of the challenges to Christian unity and even unity across faiths come from people who don't accept the legitimacy of religious leaders. So for instance, a lot of Pentecostal movements don't really care about established religious leaders in their churches. They reject, right, the authority. ISIS rejects the authority of established imams, etc. So given the lack of unity within churches and the lack of legitimacy that religious leaders seem to share among, for example, like in the United States, the vast majority of Catholics reject the teaching authority of the Catholic Church. Given that sort of situation, disunity within churches, what is the power of religious leaders to actually, so even if all of you were to agree and come up with some very clear consensus, what power does this have for the majority of people in these traditions to actually be united?
Okay, first question, what is the relevance of the things that we agree upon? What can make them effective into the real situation? Okay, members of the panel, the floor is open. No, I finish here, since 3 is enough, I think, for the moment.
I think that's a very realistic intervention, the last one, and it was something that I tried to say myself, that we haven't actually managed to include some of the most vigorous and fast-growing representatives of the Christian faith. But I think that you're unduly pessimistic about the convening power of particular religious leaders in different situations. I think it was very remarkable how all the leaders of the churches who were represented in Syria and Iraq, for instance, came together on Wednesday last. And what that achieved, and I'm just trying to be real about your question, there is, I think, in Western countries very often an editing out of concern about Christians in particular. And one of the things that can be achieved is to raise consciousness, to draw attention to what is happening in Syria and Iraq, and it really is martyrdom and persecution on a vast scale. And that has been edited out of public discourse in a number of Western countries, and I think that some religious leaders who have a convening power have the responsibility to use that. And I would come back to the comment made by our friend here also. We've really got to look at serious institution building in this area, and we as religious people are rather behind in building the kind of global institutions which really the present century demands.
Oui. À propos de la question, comment est-ce qu'on peut faire rassembler les leaders religieux, les leaders chrétiens, je pense que déjà il existe le Conseil œcuménique des Églises, bien sûr l'Église catholique et les Églises évangéliques, c'est-à-dire dans les Églises
évangélique ne participe pas au Conseil œcuménique des Églises, mais quand même on a déjà une plateforme qui pourrait être jointe par l'Église catholique et les autres Églises, quand même d'avoir déjà, à partir de cela, d'essayer d'établir une plateforme où les leaders chrétiens pourraient prendre la parole. Et je pense qu'on a tellement besoin, surtout maintenant en Moyen-Orient et en Ukraine, de se faire écouter.
Additionally to what His Eminence said, of course we have the World Council of Churches, we have the Council of Churches of Europe, CEC. Regionally we have Middle East Council of Churches and many other instances. These are ecumenical bodies. But at the same time, we have the bilateral dialogues between churches. This is of course a mechanism, and Your Eminence, I don't know if we could manage to have a Christian polis as it was the polis of the Greek philosophers, Christian. Why I say this? Because there was a meeting in Indonesia 4 years ago, organized by the name Global Christian Forum. And there are many groups, Christian groups, like Pentecostals, Mennonites, etc., etc. They, but not all of them, they came to this meeting. But you know, with all these organizations we spoke about, the World Council of Churches is representing only because the Roman Catholic is not a full member of the World Council of Churches. But it's only 1/3 of the Christianity which is interested on the ecumenical movement, and many others. I don't speak Eminence. I know that the Roman Catholic is supporting, the Roman Catholic Church is supporting the ecumenical movement. But if we take the Pentecostals, all these groups, they reject the ecumenical movements. So for the time being, there is impossibility